In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we gather our hearts and spirits united in prayer, seeking peace and clarity through the compassionate aid of Saint Anthony of Padua. Beloved patron of lost things, Saint Anthony's grace extends far beyond finding lost objects. He restores broken relationships, dreams, and even wounded faith. Today, let us come together with deep sincerity, trusting wholeheartedly in his powerful intercession. Saint Anthony listens with immense love to those who approach him humbly, bringing our urgent needs before God's throne. Whether you're burdened by financial struggles, emotional pain, or family conflicts, know that through his miraculous prayer, hope will flourish and miracles become reality. Open your heart now, share your intention in the comments, and let's lift one another in faith, confident that blessings await us. Write Amen below if you believe in this powerful prayer. O compassionate Saint Anthony, my heart turns to you today, burdened yet hopeful, aware of your gentle compassion for souls in distress. You see clearly the hidden anguish within me, the challenges I dare not speak aloud, and the quiet pains that keep me awake at night. Saint Anthony, powerful advocate before the throne of God, present my heartfelt needs urgently and tenderly. Do not let me face these struggles alone, for your miraculous prayer always reaches the ears of our merciful God. Saint Anthony, you have always been swift in answering desperate pleas. I humbly place before you my deepest troubles, financial uncertainty, emotional turmoil, and family strife, and ask that you guide these worries to divine resolution. With your powerful intercession, open doors long sealed shut and reveal solutions previously unseen. Let your holy prayer ignite my faith anew, restoring courage and clarity in moments of profound despair. Stay with me until these impossible situations transform into joyous miracles through God's grace. Today, beloved Saint Anthony, I confidently surrender every fear, trusting your unfailing power to intercede. You, who have aided countless souls in finding hope and restoration, extend your merciful hand toward me now. I believe fervently that nothing is impossible when entrusted to your prayerful care, and I await the blessing soon to unfold. Remind me that every prayer whispered in faith finds an answer, illuminating the path from darkness to light. If your heart aligns with mine in this prayer, comment "Glory to God" below. When all seems lost, heaven still sees you. There comes a moment in every life when things fall apart so completely, it feels like nothing can be fixed. A job is gone, a home is shaken, a loved one slips away, or perhaps it's your own heart that feels shattered in 1,000 pieces. In that place of deep brokenness, Saint Anthony enters quietly, not with thunder, but with gentle presence. He steps into our sorrow not to explain it, but to walk with us through it. He is not just the patron of lost things. He is a healer of lost people. When your sense of direction vanishes, when your future looks like a fog you can't escape, that's when his light begins to shine. Not all answers come at once, but through his intercession, a new path often unfolds where none existed. He reminds you that God is not done writing your story, even when it feels like the pages are burning. Imagine someone who sees every tear you've cried this week without judgment, just love. That's the kind of friend Saint Anthony is. He doesn't rush you to heal. He holds space for your pain while whispering prayers on your behalf. Sometimes we don't need a solution immediately. We just need to know we're not forgotten. And with Saint Anthony, you never are. There are people right now watching this who feel like their faith has gone missing, like prayer doesn't work. If that's you, hold on. This is not the end of your testimony. You are being carried, even if your feet no longer feel steady. The power of Saint Anthony's prayer to restore what was lost is not a myth. It is a miracle dressed in humility and compassion. The world may call your situation hopeless, but heaven calls it a canvas for glory. The very thing you thought would destroy you may become the doorway to your greatest healing. But you have to stay in the prayer. You have to let hope do its quiet work, day by day. Through Saint Anthony, God is still reaching for your hand, even now. People often forget that Saint Anthony was a man of deep struggle too. He faced spiritual dryness, rejection, and inner battles that would have broken many. And yet, he emerged each time with greater faith. His secret? He never stopped trusting God's plan, even when he couldn't understand it. That same grace is available to you, right now, right here. If you've lost something today, your peace, your confidence, your sense of self, say this silently in your heart. Saint Anthony, I don't know how to fix this, but I believe you do. When you surrender the need to control, space opens for the miraculous. God does not require perfection to move, only permission. You were never expected to carry this burden alone. That's why this prayer exists. That's why Saint Anthony was sent to you, not to watch you suffer, but to stand in the fire with you. Let this be your turning point. Let this be the moment you decide not to give up. What if your breakthrough was one prayer away? What if everything changed, not because your circumstances shifted, but because your faith finally unlocked something divine? Miracles rarely shout. They arrive quietly through faithfulness and persistence. Saint Anthony knows this. He intercedes until peace returns. Let yourself breathe again. Let yourself believe again. Even if you don't feel strong today, prayer has a way of rebuilding what time and sorrow have torn down. And if you're still here, still listening, still hoping, that's a sign that grace is already working in you. You don't have to have it all together. You just have to stay open. Take a moment now and write, "I believe God still can," in the comments, because this is not where your story ends. It's where it begins again. The door that God can still open. When you've knocked on every door and none have opened, it's easy to believe that maybe you're not meant to move forward. The silence can feel deafening. The delay feels personal. But what if the delay is actually divine? What if the reason you haven't seen progress is because something better is being prepared? Something only God and Saint Anthony can see. Saint Anthony understands blocked paths. He knows the pain of waiting, of praying with no sign, but he also knows what it means to witness sudden miracles, breakthroughs that arrive not by force, but through humble, surrendered prayer. When every earthly door is shut, heaven builds a new one. It doesn't always make sense, but it's always on time. Sometimes what we call failure is simply redirection. God isn't saying no, he's saying not yet, or not this way, or not with this person. Through Saint Anthony's prayer, we gain more than solutions. We gain trust. Trust that even closed doors carry purpose. That even in the hallway, we are being held. You may be praying for a job, a relationship, a diagnosis to change, or a financial breakthrough, and it feels like nothing is moving. You're not wrong to feel exhausted, but you are wrong to believe God isn't listening. He hears every syllable, and Saint Anthony is already at work, speaking your name before the throne. There are days when hope feels like a chore, when your spirit feels too tired to rise. On those days, lean into Saint Anthony. Let his faith carry yours. Let his strength become your shelter. He has interceded for the hopeless before, and he will do it again for you. You were created with divine timing in mind. Every part of your journey, even the pauses, has meaning. Saint Anthony's miracles don't just fix things, they align them. He doesn't just open any door, he opens the right one. The one that leads you not just to relief, but to purpose. Consider this. A woman once lost everything, her health, her income, her direction. She lit a candle to Saint Anthony and whispered, "If you're listening, help me see one step forward." Within days, an opportunity came, not the one she expected, but the one she needed. That's how grace works. Quietly, swiftly, miraculously. Don't underestimate the power of this moment. Your situation may not have changed yet, but your prayer is already changing everything. Every time you say, "Saint Anthony, show me the way," you invite heaven's compass into your life. And heaven never misguides. This isn't the end of your season. It's the middle of your transformation. Something is shifting behind the scenes. You may not see it, but in the spiritual realm, angels are already moving, rearranging, preparing. Saint Anthony is already placing his hand on your need. Believe this: no door can remain closed forever when God decides to open it. No obstacle can stand when divine purpose steps in. And no heart can stay hopeless when Saint Anthony intercedes with love and fire. Your breakthrough isn't just coming, it's forming right now. Hold on. Trust longer than the fear lasts. Pray even when it hurts, because your next chapter may begin on the other side of one faithful prayer, and Saint Anthony is praying it with you. If your heart is still hopeful, even just a little, comment, "Saint Anthony, lead me," below. That's your agreement. That's your yes to heaven's plan. The intercession that moves heaven. There is something powerful that happens when someone prays for you. It's not just words, it's spiritual alignment. And when Saint Anthony intercedes, heaven listens with urgency. He has walked this earth. He has known suffering, and now, before the throne of God, he speaks on your behalf with compassion deeper than you can imagine. Sometimes we think our prayers are too small, or our problems too big. But Saint Anthony reminds us, nothing is too insignificant for God's love, and nothing too impossible for his mercy. When you ask for his intercession, you're not asking a stranger. You're asking a friend of Jesus, someone who knows the language of the soul and the pain of this world. You might wonder, can one prayer really change anything? And the answer is yes. One sincere prayer, lifted in faith, has turned entire lives around. Miraculous healings, reconciliations after years of silence, impossible debts cancelled, peace restored after decades of inner chaos. And Saint Anthony has been there through it all. His life was not free from trouble, but it was full of divine presence. And now he stands in that presence for you. Every time you whisper his name with belief, it echoes into eternity. He is not just a symbol of faith. He is an active participant in your story. He's already kneeling beside you, asking God for exactly what your soul needs. Faith doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes faith is simply showing up, watching this video, saying this prayer, whispering, "Help me," in the middle of the night. That's faith. And Saint Anthony meets you there, right in the cracks where your strength feels like it's running out. Let's be clear, intercession is not about bypassing God's will. It's about aligning with it. When Saint Anthony intercedes, he's not replacing your voice. He's amplifying it. He's lifting it with reverence and urgency, pleading as only a true servant of God can. And in heaven, his voice carries weight. Many have testified that when they had no words left, they simply held a medal of Saint Anthony and cried. And within days, something shifted. A letter arrived, a heart softened, a diagnosis changed, a door opened. Coincidence? No. It's called divine response. And it often begins with intercession. This mystery invites you to let go of self-reliance. You don't have to fix it all alone. In fact, you were never meant to. You were designed for relationship with God, with saints, with prayer. And Saint Anthony is one of the greatest gifts heaven offers to those in crisis. Maybe you've prayed and nothing's happened. Maybe you feel like giving up. That's when intercession becomes most powerful. When your own voice is tired, but someone else keeps praying for you. Someone like Saint Anthony, who never stops interceding until heaven answers. The weight you're carrying may feel invisible to others, but it's not invisible to God. And it's certainly not invisible to Saint Anthony. He sees, he cares, he acts. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. You are deeply seen by the one who always intercedes. What would happen if you believed, truly believed, that a miracle could come through someone else's prayer? That even now, Saint Anthony is bending heaven's ear on your behalf. That's not wishful thinking. It's real. That's the heart of intercession. Faith says, even if I don't see it yet, I know God is working. Intercession says, even if I can't carry this, someone holy is carrying it with me. That's why we pray. That's why we don't stop. Because the moment you quit could be the moment the answer was on its way. If you trust in Saint Anthony's intercession, comment, "He is praying for me below." And let that be your declaration today. Surrendering to the process of God. There's a sacred power in surrender, but it doesn't always feel that way. To surrender feels like losing control, like stepping into the unknown with no safety net. And yet, it's in this very act of letting go that God steps in. Saint Anthony knew this truth deeply. He didn't cling to certainty, he clung to faith. Many of us are holding on so tightly, clutching plans, outcomes, people, fears, hoping that our grip will keep things from falling apart. But holding on too long can keep us from receiving something better. Saint Anthony teaches us to release what was never ours, to control, and to trust in what God is preparing behind the scenes. He didn't live a life of comfort. He lived a life of sacrifice. He gave up prestige to follow Christ more intimately. He gave up the applause of men to serve the quiet needs of the poor, and in doing so, he gained something far greater, intimacy with the heart of God. That same intimacy is available to you right now. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving over. Giving your burdens to someone bigger. It's saying, God, I don't have the answers, but I believe you do. And then resting in that belief, even if everything still feels uncertain. That's the core of spiritual maturity. Saint Anthony reminds us that true strength is found not in striving, but in yielding. When we stop trying to force a miracle, we make room for one to happen. When we let go of timing, we invite divine timing. His prayer invites us not just to ask, but to release and trust. Have you ever noticed that when you finally stop obsessing over something, the solution often comes? That's not an accident. That's grace in motion. God works best when we're not in the way. Saint Anthony's intercession helps you release control, not because you're weak, but because God is strong. One woman once prayed to Saint Anthony after years of trying to fix her marriage by force. She finally surrendered, not out of defeat, but out of faith. Within weeks, conversations softened, hearts turned, not because she controlled the outcome, but because she invited God into the process. That's what surrender does. It invites the miraculous. It transforms tension into peace and fear into trust. You may not have the answers, but you can have the attitude. God, if you're in this, I surrender. If you're not, I let it go. Saint Anthony's prayers help you discern that difference. There's a deep peace that comes from living open-handed. When your hands are open, they can let go, and they can also receive. Closed fists miss blessings, but open palms receive heaven. Surrender is not weakness. It's spiritual strength that declares, not my will, but yours be done. And in that holy surrender, clarity comes. Light breaks through. Not always in a flash, but in quiet moments. A phone call you weren't expecting. A new perspective that eases the pain. A sudden opportunity. These aren't accidents. These are signs that your surrender was heard. Sometimes the prayer that changes everything is not, God, fix it, but God, I trust you. Saint Anthony teaches us to pray from a place of peace, not panic. And when we do, our hearts are no longer tossed by the waves. They're anchored in divine purpose. You don't need to carry all the answers today. You don't need to force your life into order. What you need is the willingness to trust that something bigger than you is at work, and that someone, Saint Anthony, is already praying that your surrender becomes your strength. So take a breath. Release the outcome. Surrender what's too heavy. And trust that Saint Anthony is guiding your spirit closer to the heart of God with every step. If your heart is ready to let go and trust, comment, I surrender to God, below. And let this prayer become your turning point, trusting fully in the miracle to come. There is a sacred moment in every spiritual journey when you stop hoping and start believing. Hope is beautiful, but belief, real belief, unlocks the door to miracles. Saint Anthony doesn't just give us hope. He teaches us how to believe again, deeply, fully, without hesitation. To trust in a miracle is not naive, it is brave. It means you choose to believe in what you cannot see, because you know who is behind it. And Saint Anthony walks beside you, whispering prayers of faith when your voice shakes. He stands strong where your knees buckle. Some people think miracles are rare, but to the heart that believes, miracles are daily bread. They may not always arrive wrapped in flashing signs, but they come in quiet healing, unexpected provision, reconciled hearts, sudden peace. That's how Saint Anthony's miracles often move, humbly and powerfully. Maybe you've been praying for years, and still the healing hasn't come. The money hasn't arrived, the answer hasn't shown up. But what if the miracle is closer than you think? What if the delay is only testing your readiness, not God's willingness? God is never late, and Saint Anthony knows how to intercede with the kind of faith that brings answers in God's perfect time. You may not feel strong enough to believe fully. That's okay. Just borrow the faith of this prayer today. Let Saint Anthony believe with you and for you. Trust is not built in comfort, it's forged in fire. When things feel like they're falling apart, trust says, I still believe. When the report is bad, trust says, God is still good. Editum. When nothing makes sense, trust says, Saint Anthony is praying, and that's enough for me to hold on. There is nothing you are facing that God cannot reverse, heal, restore, or redeem. And there is no timeline you must meet to receive a miracle. What matters is not the clock, it's the courage to keep believing one day at a time. That's where transformation begins. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the Red Sea, not a path in sight, and then suddenly the waters part. That's what God does. He makes a way where there is no way. Saint Anthony has seen it before, and if you trust, you will see it too. One man once buried his head in his hands, surrounded by bills, lost income, and no hope. He whispered, Saint Anthony, if you're real, do something. That week, he received a job offer from a place he never applied to. Coincidence? Or the quiet power of intercession? Your miracle doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be real. And when it comes, you'll know it wasn't your plan. It was heaven's. You'll look back and say, only God. But first, you must walk forward with faith, even if your steps are small. Saint Anthony reminds us that God isn't just able, He is willing. He isn't distant, He is near. Every miracle begins with belief. Not in yourself, but in the one who created all things and still holds the power to recreate what's been lost. Don't just wait for the miracle. Expect it, speak it, prepare for it. Make room for it. Live like it's already on its way. Because faith is not passive, it's active. It gets ready. It praises in advance. It thanks God before the answer arrives. The enemy wants you to believe it's too late, too hard, too broken. But faith says it's never too late for God. It's never too hard for heaven. And nothing is too broken for the hands that shape the stars. So today, choose to believe again. Choose to trust Saint Anthony's intercession not just for peace, but for breakthrough, for restoration, for the miracle you stopped asking for, because you were afraid to be disappointed again. And if you've read this far, it's not by accident. Heaven is drawing you closer. You're on the brink of something holy. Don't give up now. You're closer than you've ever been. If you believe your miracle is already in motion, comment, "I trust you, God," below, and let your faith light the way. May the peace of Christ descend upon your heart like a soft morning light, calm and steady, dispelling every shadow of fear. May you feel in this very moment the gentle presence of Saint Anthony by your side, lifting your intentions before heaven. You are not forgotten, you are deeply known, and you are infinitely loved. May every prayer you offered today rise like incense, carried by Saint Anthony to the heart of God. Nothing you've spoken in faith will return empty. Every tear, every sigh, every whispered plea has been received in divine love. Trust that God is already at work. Even in silence, He is moving. May your home be filled with the peace that surpasses understanding, the kind that can't be shaken by circumstance. Let Saint Anthony's intercession bring comfort to every room, joy to every face, and healing to every wounded space. May you sense His protection even in unseen moments. May broken relationships be gently restored through grace. May harsh words be softened, and may hearts that once turned away begin to turn back. Saint Anthony is a restorer, not only of lost things, but of love, of family, of unity. Let reconciliation begin with this prayer. If you are burdened by financial strain, may Saint Anthony open unexpected doors. May provision come from places you never imagined, and may you walk in wisdom, peace, and new opportunities, knowing your needs are seen by heaven and never ignored. If you're waiting for healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual, may this be your turning point. May the light of God flow through you, dissolving pain and restoring hope. Saint Anthony's intercession is known for miracles. Believe yours is among them. If you're feeling lost, may this prayer become your compass. May you find clarity in confusion, courage in fear, and direction in your wandering. You are not alone. Saint Anthony walks beside those who feel adrift and gently guides them back to purpose. If despair has crept into your thoughts, may joy return like the dawn. May laughter find its way back into your life, and peace settle into your soul like a song you didn't know you needed. God is not done with your story. The best chapters are yet to be written. If you're carrying sorrow that words can't express, may Saint Anthony hold your pain in sacred silence. May God's comfort wrap around you like a warm mantle. Healing sometimes begins with simply being held, and heaven holds you now. If you've struggled with doubt, may today mark the renewal of your faith. Faith doesn't mean never questioning, it means never walking away. Keep your heart open, ask boldly, trust deeply. Saint Anthony is praying with you every step of the way. May you begin to walk with renewed strength, filled with the confidence that comes not from knowing how, but knowing who. Let today be a threshold moment, the start of a life marked by unshakable trust and abundant grace. Walk forward boldly, and as you go from this moment of prayer, carry the blessing with you. Carry the peace, carry the promise, and when life feels heavy again, come back to this space. Saint Anthony will be waiting with open arms, open heart, and unwavering intercession. What if today was the day something truly shifted in your spirit? What if this prayer was the answer you've been waiting for, disguised in words you didn't expect? Do you believe that peace, healing, and restoration have already begun inside you? Will you dare to trust again, to hope again, even if you've been disappointed before? Are you willing to let go of what's been holding you back and embrace the miracle that God may already be preparing for you? What if you woke up tomorrow no longer carrying what's been crushing your soul? What would your life look like if you truly believed that Saint Anthony is walking with you into a new chapter? Let this prayer be the line in the sand, the moment everything changed. You will never be the same after today. Not because of the words spoken, but because of the faith awakened. If this prayer touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you love, a family member, a friend, someone who might need hope today. You never know whose life you'll impact with a simple act of kindness and faith. Comment Amém below if you believe in the miracle that is already in motion. Let your words of faith fill this space and encourage others who are walking through their own storms. Together we build a community of prayer, hope, and support. If you haven't yet, I warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel. This is just one of many powerful prayers we offer here, designed to bring you closer to God and keep you grounded in peace, no matter what life brings. Let us continue this journey together. Like, comment, and share this video with everyone who needs a touch of divine grace. With your help, this prayer can reach thousands more hearts, and with every share, Saint Anthony's light shines even brighter.